All righty. Well, it looks like we are live on Facebook. Welcome, 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 everybody. I am so incredibly excited about the conversation that we're going to have tonight. And this is episode 17. I can't believe it. Episode 17 of the Liberation Lounge. And this is where we have real talk with real women. We address the real life challenges, ups, downs, and topics that are really important to women today. Right. And so I'm really excited to have a woman that I've had an opportunity to get to know over really about the last year,
Mhm.
because we both have been in a phenomenal coaching community. And that's actually how we met. And I was just so impressed with the work that she was doing. And I said, you know what? She is so proficient in an area that I think so many women need to really get better at. Right. And so I'm really excited to have today Vicki Viccora to talk to us today about habits and productivity. So, Vicki, how are you doing today?
Good. Thank you very much, April, for letting me be on this. Yeah, it has been great to get to know each other and see how we both have been growing over this
Yes,
past year with our businesses and how we've been helping out. And
yes.
excited to be able to help out other women into realizing what they can do.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to get into the conversation. And so, for those of you who um, are interested in learning more about some of the amazing women that we've had on the show, I just want to remind you that we are archiving all of our episodes on YouTube now. So you can subscribe, and I would love you, love you, love you, love you to life if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is just at April Joy Empowers. You will be able to see all episodes. If you missed any, you weren't able to catch it live. But if you are here live, drop us a love heart into the comments. We would love to know if you're live. If you are here on replay, put replay in the comments. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. And so, Vicki, so you can give a quick introduction about who you are, what you do, just so that our listeners can get a chance to learn a little bit more about your professional background.
Thank you. No problem. I love it. Well, my professional background has always been retail. I've been 30 plus years of retail management and training.
Mhm.
And so that kind of developed a lot of what I'm doing now with the last 5 years of my coaching on
Mhm.
there. So, and it all developed without a need for myself, pretty much with it. And that's how most of us start
Mhm.
our business is we went through something and found out what it was like to go through it and wish we had something to help us through it on
Mhm.
there. And so that's where a lot of my coaching and it profound to more of learning the system to be more time management, to have that balance of life, have some
Mhm.
fun again, and not always be working. I think else, especially as women, I found between, if you have a date to full-time job, family,
Yep.
kids, obligations, you found no time for yourself on there.
True.
So when you learn to utilize a system or how to plan things out so you don't feel stressed and overwhelmed, is where it came from. And a lot of that is I got my life coach certification and stuff like that just before COVID
Mhm.
on there. And as I was starting to grow the business, we're going through COVID. But at
Mhm.
that time, I also was taking care of my mother full time. She has passed since, but
Mhm.
she had Alzheimer's and was legally blind.
Wow.
So she is living with me, going through it. And I'm trying to work a full-time job, still taking care of the house, her, and everything else. And I was like, first I found no time for myself and didn't know where I was going. So I was like, you've been all these things in your life before when you're in the corporate world.
Yep.
Start taking them and put them for yourself. And that's how I
Yes.
kind of started to develop systems to keep myself organized and on time and being productive and still have fun and still make
Yes.
time for myself in there somewhere for it because it was just as important. So that's kind of where it all started. And now it's developed in helping more business women doing the type of an idea. And I'm expanding my new thing, just launching tomorrow and all that. So
That's awesome. And I just love how you started this conversation around this whole initiative, this whole business got started because it was something that I personally needed. Right. And
mhm.
so I think that's a great and key point for all the women and our allied men who are listening in, because I know we have a few men who pipe in regularly too. But I think that's a key point is oftentimes we're struggling with something, right? We're struggling with something in our personal life or in our business. And that is often where the best ideas are birthed, right? And so and I was watching I think a podcast like several months ago, and the guy on there was saying, he said, you know, the thing that entrepreneurs are really good at is they're just really good at uncovering and excavating problems,
Mhm.
right? And so whether that's your problem or somebody else's problem, that's really where millions are made. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, for all the listeners right now, pay attention to the areas of your life where there is friction. Okay. And when I say friction, I mean, oh, it's something that's frustrating you or something that's taking a really long time to do, or gosh, this is so many steps. There's got to be a more efficient way of doing this. Pay attention to where there is friction in your life or in the lives of the people that you work with, or your friends or your family, because in there could be a seed of opportunity.
Yep.
Okay? It could be a seed of opportunity. So I really love the way you started the conversation. So let's kind of get into a couple of things. You know, there's often a lot of myths when it comes to habits and productivity. So what are some of the most common productivity myths that you think are really holding women back today?
I think a lot of women think of productivity as being busy
Mhm.
type of an idea because I'm doing a lot of things, I'm productive.
Yep.
And it's the problem is normally the things you're doing are those busy things and not
Mhm.
actually goals and actions to move you forward. And I
Yes.
think that's the biggest thing. They think, well, I'm really busy, so I must be productive. And
Mhm.
no, it's yes, you may be busy, but you're not productive because you're not doing the right task. You're
Yes.
letting the chaos of the outside world or those little things take control instead of the action steps you need to actually take to move yourself forward in your goals and your business, personal,
Mhm.
whatever they may be. And I think
Mhm.
that's the biggest thing. People think, well, I'm busy all the time, so I must be productive.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that there's the US, you may be busy, but you're not busy with the right type of task.
Yeah. Yep, that's huge. That's huge, y'all, because we've all been there where we're like, "Oh my gosh, I just don't have enough time," right? And it's like, well, is it the fact that you don't have enough time, or are you busy, like Vicky just said, doing the wrong things, right?
Mhm.
There might just be other things that you could be doing that will actually move the needle in your business, things you can be doing that can actually move the needle in your personal life or in your self-care, whatever your goals are
Always
that you're
are.
working on, right? So
Yep.
I absolutely love that. There's a big difference between being busy and being productive. So, what have you really seen, or how have you seen positive habit formation help women lead a more liberated life? Like, how has that shifted things for women that you've worked with?
Basically, if you think of it as what is a habit, I
Hmm.
guess is the first thing to realize. And what is a habit? A habit is something you do without even thinking. I don't, but how many people drink coffee? Okay. And you
Tons.
do it without even thinking. You get up in the morning
Hmm.
and you walk there to get your cup of coffee.
Yep.
On that, how much times do we brush our teeth or comb our hair? Do things so natural that we don't even think about it.
Yep.
And but when it comes to growing a business or doing something, excuse me, we
Hmm.
realize we can't do it automatically overnight. We
Hmm.
have to build that habit and we have to learn to
Hmm.
take the small steps to build a habit. So when
Hmm.
we work with, like you said, when I work with the ladies, we kind of look at what is your environment like? How do you learn? Thing
Hmm.
else to it is the habit. First of all, I've got what's called a habit formula. And it's
Hmm.
first we go is what is the habit you're trying to build? Is
Yep.
it aligned to a goal that you want to do?
Yep.
Because if it doesn't have a strong enough why behind it, you're going to let the chaos of the world or your distractions knock you off before you even start.
True.
I've also learned that everybody learns differently
Hmm.
on it. So if your habit is not geared to how you think and how you learn or how your environment is, you're still going to knock yourself off the track
Hmm.
on it. So you got to add those together and then you got to add what type of technique. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of some of them, of habit stacking
Hmm.
or post-it notes or, building on things. Those are the different techniques out there, but which one works best for you?
Yep.
on it. And when you add them together, it equals success on it. It equals that you are successfully going to build that habit, which ties to that goal, which it ties to what you want to do. And I think you said, so that's the best thing I try to work with each person individually is to realize that you're not going to do it like somebody else
Yes.
there. And that's our biggest thing. And that was my biggest thing. And I still, you look at everybody else out there on social media
Yeah.
and you go, why can't I have that? Why can't I do it that way? Because that's not you
Yeah.
on it. And it's going to take time. And that is our biggest thing as just humans and as women, as
Hmm.
people, we want it now on
It's
it.
true.
So when you to build a habit, I think that was the biggest thing is to let them know that just a building block, and taking those small little action steps are better than none.
So good. So good. Oh my gosh. I was just having this conversation with some women that I'm in a mastermind with. And we meet on Monday nights, and we were talking about how important it is to be okay with just taking incremental small steps to accomplish a big goal. And I had brought this up because I had seen um, Bill Gates post something on LinkedIn, right? His Gates notes.
Yeah,
And he said most people will overestimate what they can do in a year and they will underestimate what they can do in a decade,
yeah,
right? And so what ends up happening, he said, is we just keep finding ourselves in the same spot every 12 months, every 12 months, every 12 months, because we set this big, hairy, audacious goal over the course of a year, which probably in many cases might take us 2 or 3 years to accomplish. And when we don't see immediate results within the first 30, 60, 90 days, then we abort the entire mission, right?
mhm,
Because we don't understand the power, as James Clear says, of these atomic habits, right?
yes,
We don't understand the power of that. And so, and I had brought this up because I'm working on my next book. And when I wrote my first book, I took a piece of advice from another author, and he said, April, just write every day. If you write every day, you'll have the book done
yep,
like that. And as soon as I started writing every day, it didn't matter if it was 5 words or 5 paragraphs,
hmm,
but just to get into the habit of sitting down and saying, okay, I'm going to block out 20 minutes on my calendar in the morning, always in the morning, because then I know it got done, like working out, right?
hmm,
And I would block that out in the morning. Then the book would get written. I had that book written in like 7 weeks,
yep.
right? And up until then, I had been working on it for like 6 months.
And it
And
is, and that's just totally true. And that goes with
yes,
anything that we do. We think we have to make these big leaps, and the leap is actually your goal. It is
yes,
not the action steps towards your goal.
yeah. Oh, that's so well said. Say that again.
When we think of what we have to do, we normally the things we're doing is actually our goal.
Yeah,
That's not the action steps. So we
right.
try to say that oh, we have to write this book. Write the
Yeah,
book is not an action step. Write the book is the goal. The
right.
action step is taking 5 minutes, 20 minutes every
Yes,
day to write the book, to write a page, write whatever. And so that you're taking
yes.
those micro steps because we people confuse the difference between a dream, a
Yeah.
goal, our action steps, and then the micro action steps. They
Mm.
don't realize they kind of think their goals, their action steps are actually their goals type of an
Mm-hmm.
idea. And they don't know, realize the difference. So they
Yep.
feel like they're failing all the time because they're not
Yep.
achieving it
Yep. Yep.
because it's
Oh,
too big.
that's big, y'all. That's big. Like that, just that section right there is worth going back and listening to like every day because we've all done it. We've
Hmm.
all done it where we have confused the goal with the action step. And then we're like, oh, well, it hasn't happened yet. It's like, no, did we actually install the habit?
Hmm.
Right? Did we install the action steps and the micro steps, which I love how you talk about that because sometimes it is just a very, very, very small thing that we need to do to get the momentum going. And that's huge, huge when it comes to how we are looking to accomplish the most important things in our life. So I absolutely love that. So let's talk about some micro habits. That leads us right into the next question. So, can you share an example of a micro habit that can create outsized results in a woman's personal or professional life, right? So, like, what are some examples of what a micro habit might actually look like, or
Well,
a
it could,
micro step?
yeah, no, well, there could be a lot of different things. But like, say, for if you want for writing a book, the
Mhm.
first thing that people think, oh, or even going if you want to start running walking a marathon, is possibly go buy yourself a beautiful journal, buy yourself a
Mm.
pen, go buy yourself
Mhm.
those new sneakers. If you want to start
Mhm.
a business or type, if you're doing with your business, think of what you want to do. What's a passion for you? Get
Yeah.
the foundations together
Mhm. Mhm.
first. Because when you get that pretty pen or that place, that thing you want to write with, when you pick it up, you feel something. And that's what
Yep.
it's about. You feel that, oh, look at this. It's for me. It's not just, I took time and energy to do this, so it must be important
Yep.
on that.
Yep.
And the one thing that I work with on it, and I do have this free resource in my group and on my
Mhm.
pages on it, is the 5 minute clarity boost at night. And that what it
Oh,
is every night, what you do is you look at what you need to do the next day and pick those top things on it. So when you wake up in the morning, you've got a clear focus on what it is. So you're
mm.
taking what micro steps you have to take before you even start your day
Yep.
on there. So it's taking the thing else. And the micro step, like you said, could be as simple as if you're doing launching an event that you want to do, is give it a title
Yep.
on it
Right.
and sit on that title. Is that title what you want it to be on there?
Mhm.
You don't have to write the whole thing out today
Yep.
on that. Break it down to different things so that each day, and the action step may take 3 to 4 days to do.
Yep.
So, but each day, at the end of the day, you want to have 3 to 5 things that you're checking off.
Mhm.
That everything else, so that you go, I did accomplish something for the day and for it. So you feel good to move forward on that. A lot of people say to me, it's like, well, I'll do that when I feel motivated or confident. And I kind of turn that back around on them. I said, the thing is that's the last step, not the first step on
Yeah.
it, because the first step is take the small action steps. When then you achieve that action steps, you build the confidence to take more action steps
Yes.
on that, and the
Yes.
motivation because you've achieved something. And that's what
Yep.
the what we just before, when you make those goals or those action steps so big, you feel like you're never achieving on it. And that even goes for losing weight. You want to lose the
Yep.
weight. Don't do that. I want to lose 50 pounds in a month. Come on,
Yep.
realistically, it's 2 pounds a week. So that at
Yep.
the end of that week, you feel like, okay, I did it. I at least
Yep.
made it for a week, or drinking or whatever it is
Yep.
on there, is making those macro steps to it realistic. And I guess is what it is. And as you build it, then you make them a little bit bigger
Yep.
on that, but give yourself the confidence that you can at least make them.
That is so big because I remember, again, going back to when I wrote my first book, there was a part of me that was like, "Oh my gosh, like I didn't even get a page written today," you know? But I realized like at the end of the week, I had like 2.5 pages written, right? So I may not always be, and then some days in that 20-30 minute block, I would get like 3 pages written because it was just like spirit of the writer. That's what I call it. Spirit of
Yeah.
the writer took over and I was just in flow, right? Or
Mhm.
I had an inspired idea when I got up that morning. I said, "Oh, I'm going to write about that in this chapter." And so the key though was that I sat down at my computer at 7 a.m. every day,
Yep.
right? That was the key. Didn't matter if it was 5 words, 5 paragraphs, 5 pages, but just sitting down to take that time is was really, really key. So I love what you said about how confidence and motivation come on the back end because we have done some of those smaller steps to build the confidence. I mean, ladies and gents, we can't wait around for confidence and motivation, right? We can't do that. We've got to do the thing and then we have the power, right? As Emerson says. So that's really, really key. I love that. So let's talk about, the saying, what old habits are hard to break, right? Old habits are hard to break. Why are old habits so hard to break? And what can we do to change that?
Well, old habits are hard to break because it's a routine that you got comfortable with usually
Mhm.
on
Mhm.
that. And you got to determine, are you, we call it healthy level of disgust. Are you tired enough of it that you want to make the change? And if you don't have a strong enough why, that habit's going to stay
Mhm.
on that. And if it's, if it's a food thing or even if it's a work thing that you're supposed to do social media and do your lives and you
Yeah.
just don't like doing anything else to it. And it's, you figure, on it, the habit is not finding time for myself, thinking I don't have time for it
Yeah.
on there. And as long as you keep thinking you don't have time,
Yeah.
you're not going to have time
True.
on it. So it's more of a mind shift that's got to be that goes with it to it. But then again, if you have the proper tools and systems in place to help knock the old habits down, but then what has you have to do is you have to have something to replace it with.
Yes.
You can't just say I'm going to get rid of doing this. And that's why my thing is at the beginning of the year, I don't do New Year's resolutions because New Year's resolutions means you're giving up something and
Mhm.
you feel like you're being left out.
Mhm.
Where if you set goals, you're working towards something and you're going to
Good.
benefit from it. So it's the same thing. If you're saying, well, if I give up this old habit, I'm going to think else. No, replace it with something that means more towards you better, that
That's good.
you're going to get out of it instead on it. So
That's
that
good.
for old habits to break them, it is hard and it's not going to be easy. And you got to go into it knowing that.
Yeah.
You go into knowing that it may take me time to think else, but if you don't have something that you're going to replace it with, you're never going to break it.
I think that's so good because this we talked about this last night in my women's mastermind, and we were like one person was talking about, working out and how she was successful at staying consistent at working out 3 days a week. And I'm talking about she's like 55 and she's 25. She's been working out 3 days a week for 25 years, which is like incredible,
Yeah.
right? 25, 30
Power,
years.
power to her.
Yeah, I was like, sister, like I like that is incredible. But she's in good shape. She's, 5 years before turning 60, but she's in great health. Her numbers look great, and it's
Yeah.
because she had developed a habit. But you know what she said? She said there's two things that I did at 25. First thing I did is I got accountability.
Yep.
And so she said I noticed that if I had a girlfriend who would be there with me working out, then I realized I would work out more. So she's
Mm-hmm.
like, that was the first thing I did early on was accountability. The second thing I did is I said, I need to pay for something because
Listen.
she said, a lot of us, we buy these gym memberships and then we don't show up, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, it's only $25 a month or $10 a month or whatever. So it's like not really that big of a
Amen.
deal. But she's like, when I actually began to pay for like classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, so I bought like a class pass where you can get like a chunk of classes, right? For whatever, hit or
Yeah.
yoga or whatever. And she said, when I started doing that, then I started showing up consistently. So it was accountability and paying for it.
And that goes with everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
because if you, especially when you're trying to learn a new habit, if you don't have
Mhm.
somebody there, how many times, if even yourself on that, and your accountability can be somebody else, but a lot of people these days, even if you use Facebook as your
Yes.
accountability partner, that
Yes.
if you tell somebody, I'm going to be going live 3 times a week
Yeah.
on anything else to do it, you put yourself in the place that I put that out there.
Yeah.
I have to do it,
Yep.
type
Yep.
of an idea. And for it, and then when you have what they call skin in the game type of an
Yep.
idea
Yep.
into it, and that it's not a few bucks, but it's
Mhm.
something that you're saying, I invested this money, which I work hard for, I'm
Yep.
gonna utilize it
Yep.
on that.
Exactly. 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 Yeah, so it just I came to understand how important it is that we put some guardrails, right?
Mhm.
Around these goals and developing these new habits because if we don't do that then it's just going to be a challenge. So, let's talk about time management and project management. Everybody has their favorite productivity tools And so what are you seeing women really gravitating to these days to help them to be more productive in their personal life and or their business life?
Well, for me, myself, how I use anything else is my it's called a herd. It's your habits are essential to repeat daily.
Okay.
Command center is what I call in it, type of an idea. And it's where everything's in one place.
Okay.
And when you try to be more productive as a woman, we usually have like 15 different hats we're trying to wear and
Mhm.
15 different calendars we're trying to use. We
Mhm.
need to learn to put it all because with only one of us.
Yes.
And to be more productive is we need to learn how to put them all together so that we are realizing, like you said, I don't need more hours. I need to use my hours better
Mhm.
on it. It's and you we always say, well, my plate's so full I can't add any more thing else. But if you added the right thing to the plate and everything fit together all of a sudden, it'd make a difference
Yep.
on that. And those are just some key type of productivity. And a lot of the productivity things are good that are out there. But then again, it goes, you have to find what works best for you, your
Mhm.
lifestyle. Are you full-time mom? Are you working a full-time job?
Mhm.
Because there's different things to use for different ways on it. But then again, it's just building the habit.
Yep.
You
Yep.
realize no matter what productivity tool you use, if you don't realize you're going to have to, part of your to-do list is using the tool
Yes.
till it becomes a habit that you don't even have to do it. Same as when you're starting to take vitamins, if you have to do that. Thing else
Yep.
too, writing down taking your vitamins on your to-do list till it becomes such a second nature that it doesn't have to be
Mhm.
there anymore. You
Mhm.
know, for it, building a business and trying to do your social media and doing that kind of stuff is planning it out, taking that extra time. People say, well, I don't have time to waste doing that. I says, but you're not wasting time. You're doing it and planning out and where you can fit it into your time
Yep.
that you do it. And it goes back to what you were saying that if you're saying that you're going to do write in your book in that
Mhm.
20 minutes a day or whatever it is,
Mhm.
the thing is to be able to be time blocking or whatever you want to call it is it doesn't matter how much you get done in that time, as long as you're not distracted and you're
Yep.
staying focused on that task only.
Yep.
On
Yep.
that, so that because what'll happen, like you said, some days you'll get a little done, some days you'll get a
Yep.
lot more. But if you let the bings and the bangs and all the things that go off, you'll never get anything done.
It's the truth. My favorite setting on my phone is DND. Do not disturb. Do
Yeah,
not disturb. And I have to turn my D&D on, and I'm grateful I have I have positioned my life in such a way where, in my previous business, I had to have my phone like because I had people calling and texting, calling and texting,
yeah.
calling and texting 24/7. Okay. And I'm grateful I'm not doing that anymore. Um, I'm in a new season in my life. But when I need to really like zone in, like even on this show, I go on D&D, right? Because I don't want my phone and the notifications to just be going off, the entire time because that's a distraction from
Mhm.
what I'm really trying to accomplish here in the conversation. So, ladies, that's a big one, right? So if you know that there's something really important that you've got to do, whether it's writing your book, whether that is, working on that website, whether that is putting the pieces together for, your child's school project, you got to go on do not disturb, even if that's just for like 30 minutes. Trust me, they can wait. There
Yeah.
was a point in time when we didn't have cell phones and
Yeah.
people could not get in touch with you unless you were actually home.
Yeah.
Right? My brother, we talked about that recently because he went on a 15-day cruise, uh, hit like 8 countries. It was
Oh my
amazing.
God.
And so he was like, "You know what Imma do? Turning my phone off. For 15 days, I'm turning it off." And I was like, "You should turn your phone off." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, Where did we get to a point where people can just be in contact with us
Mhm.
24/7?" Right? It didn't used to be like that, y'all. There was a time when it wasn't like that.
Yeah. I think that's it. We grew up and think else till your phone was attached to your wall. You only
Right.
could go so far. You know,
Exactly, and they had to leave a message, and you got back to them whenever you got back home,
back to them. Yep.
right? And so, I think sometimes we've gotta realize the power in that, and not allow ourselves to just be on call all the time. I love
Yeah.
what Mel Robbins said. She said,
Mhm.
"Just because I'm I don't answer, or when I don't answer, it doesn't mean that I have something else to do. It just means I'm not available." And I was like, "Oh, that's so good." Right? Because sometimes people will even invite you to stuff and
Yeah.
you feel like you gotta come up with an excuse
Yeah.
on why you're not going, and you're like, "Oh, well, I'm busy." It's like, "No, like, maybe you just wanna be home.
Yeah.
Maybe you just wanna, like, sit on the couch and do nothing."
And
Right? Like, I
and
don't have
that's
to have plans.
yeah. And that's important because we think that we have to have every minute of our day blocked. And
Mhm.
and we do in a, to a degree, but the thing is that block time can be nothing time.
Yes.
Because sometimes we have to work it all day, my full-time
Yep.
job, coming
Yep.
home, trying to work this business and do anything
Yep.
else. Sometimes I'm just like, turn the computer down and I just sit in bed and watch television.
Yep.
And I gotta just like decompress is what it is. I just gotta decompress for a while and I'm more of a night owl anyhow, though I
Yeah.
do stay up late at night and work on things
Yeah.
anyhow. But I sometimes have to just take that time and I'm like, you need to really be doing this. And like, no, I need to just decompress for myself for 30 minutes and before I start getting back into whatever I have to do
Yep.
on that. And some people that decompress could be going for a walk or
Yep.
listening to music, praying, meditation, whatever it
Yep.
is for you, you need to find out it is. And that's just as much as important to do than it is to write that post or send that email or whatever. Because if you're not in the right mind, how you come across is not going to be there.
So key, y'all. So key. I mean, my friend who's in the mastermind, she was quoting something from Eckhart Tolle, and Eckhart Tolle said, if you're going to quote unquote waste time, or what you think is wasting time, do it intentionally, right? Meaning, just like you said, if you need to, I call it thaw your brain out, right? Because your brain is
Yeah.
constantly like, right? And if you need to like thaw your brain out because your brain is just like frozen because it's just been like on like all day, then intentionally say, you know what? I'm going to watch that one episode of whatever series, right?
Mhm.
That you're watching. And then you know what? It's like oftentimes you're like, okay, I was able to turn my brain off for 45 minutes. All right, now let me get back to what I need to do. So you're so right. It's like that time to thaw out your brain is just as important as the time where you're like, okay, I need to be really productive doing this particular task.
Mhm.
So I love that. So as we wrap up here, when you're working with clients, what are some of the initial steps, or how do you kind of assess them to see what they need to do to develop some better habits? Like, what's the process that you take people through?
It depends on where we're working on more. If we're working on personal business or kind of combination of
Okay.
it. But what I like is we have an assessment that they go through on
Okay.
that, and it's on the 7 key areas of your life, of your fitness, your finance, your family, your field, which
Mhm.
is your career, faith, friends, and fun. Where are you at a balance? Where do you feel thing else to it? Where anything else? Because what's holding you back? What's blocking you from moving forward in whatever you want to do?
Yep.
And some people have that understanding, and so we could just go right into the time management and
Mhm.
productivity. Some people you have to kind of work through a little bit of that still
Yep.
on that because they don't realize that, what's been holding them back is usually it's mostly fear, but
Mhm.
most of the time it's self-sabotage. They don't
Mm.
feel worthy of starting to achieve and are afraid of what's going to happen if they do what they say they want to do on that.
Wow.
And I'm kind of like you said, I'm starting my new thing with my bookkeeping and coaching. And I'm
Mhm.
like, part of me is like, okay, but I said, I'm launching this tomorrow. And if I'm not ready, I'm still launching it. You know what I'm saying? Is like, because I could just give excuses and keep putting it on the back burner
Yeah.
on
Yep.
that. So, and I think that's the biggest thing is trying to figure out what you want to do, what are your values, where you really want to go, and why you want to do it, and then come up with the game plan from there. And
I
to see
love that.
how much is because everybody's different. Everyone's why is different on there. And I'm sure if you've heard of the 7 levels of why,
Yep.
thing else,
Hmm.
to do sometimes, but I do that with people, just depending on each person. On
Yeah.
But if you don't know the reason why you want to do something, sometimes we need to start there. Is it something you want to do because you want to do it, or is it because everybody else is telling you you should do it?
Oh, that's a big one. That's
You
a big one.
or
Yeah.
you don't do it because you're afraid of what everyone else is going to say.
Yep. Yep. I got all those t-shirts, all of them. I got all
Some
those
of my
t-shirts.
guys.
Oh, I got all those t-shirts. And that took a lot to rid myself of the desire to either do what other people thought I should do and also to be okay with nobody agreeing with what I decided to do,
Mhm.
right?
And it's an
And
ongoing battle. It's not nothing. It's
it's
never going to
oh,
end.
sister, like I said, it's like I got all those t-shirts. Like some of them, I still have on, you know what I mean? But I love what you said about doing it even when you don't feel ready. Do it when you don't feel ready, ladies and gents, right? It's like because you can be getting ready to get 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 ready for the next 3 to 6 years, right? And at some point, you're just going to have to jump off that cliff and grow some wings on the way down. And you know what? A lot of it is because we're so trapped in perfectionism. Like, oh, we're not ready because it's got to be perfect or it's not going to be as good as what I see other people doing when they do their launch. And you know what? You got to scratch all of that and just say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do the thing and then
Mhm.
I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow and I'm going to make the next one better.
That's it. On that, and that's what we've been taught, even in the
Yes.
coaching that we're in, the marketing thing that we're in. It's like how many times have all of us pivoted on
Yep.
there but you learn from, as long as you learn from the pivot or
Yes.
something else, and none of it's failure if you look at it as a learning tool thing. But
Absolutely.
yeah, do we all have that feel? Do we all go through that? Yeah, but the difference of, are you going to go down that rabbit hole, or are you going to recognize that rabbit hole and call it out and say no?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. So let's kind of just end with how your our audience can actually get connected to you, stay connected to you. You mentioned some really powerful tools that some people may be very interested in participating in and learning more about. You talked about kind of the herd thing, like the command center, which probably everybody on here needs to learn more about that. I know you mentioned that you have a private Facebook group too. So, maybe you can just share a little bit about how people can get and stay connected to you long term.
Yep. Best way to connect with me on that, because most of us are on Facebook,
Mhm.
is kind of thing else. Friend me, follow me. Love to send you an invite to my group, which is Time Management, Productivity, and Profit for the working woman. And I do groups in there. I do on Saturdays. I do little minute master classes periodically. I do challenges in there, and it's just a community I'm building with thing else to it. Personally, just if you want any of the information, always DM me or message to me. It's probably the easiest way to connect with me directly, that I'll
Awesome.
see it, because I always do see them on there.
Awesome.
And anybody who was part of this, please let me know that you saw me on here, and I'd love to be able to share what I can with you for it. But yeah, I heard all those things are part of my program and my systems with it. And what it is I've used all those different tools myself and have fine
Mhm.
tuned it. And I just even changed some of it again because I'm in a different season.
Yep.
And that's what makes it different than any, and it's not it is, people could say, well, it's a planner. it's not a planner as in it's you got to adjust to it. It adjusts to you because you print it out. You use
Good.
what you need type of thing. But it's the same idea of one thing else to it. The best way of connecting with me is that like if you go watch my Facebook page starting tomorrow, I am on
Mhm.
LinkedIn too. Not as much, but I am on there. But Facebook would be a best way to connect with me. Is I'm launching tomorrow my it's McCall, it's VV, which is my initials, on
Mhm.
that bookkeeping and profit coaching. And what I'm
Good.
doing is I'm helping because I've found out a lot of the people who are entrepreneurs in small business,
Mhm.
they don't even know how to look at their numbers,
True.
how to grow their business. But then even if
True.
they look at the numbers, they don't know how to use it to make profit and how to set the goals to match those numbers.
Yep.
And that's where I kind of I merged the two worlds and I'm
Yep.
launching it tomorrow. So I'm excited about that. But it's like you're saying, using all these tools inside your business and how to use your bookkeeper as your type person who can give you those numbers to back up what you want to do.
That's huge. That's huge. I really want to encourage everybody to take advantage of that. So be paying attention to Vicky's Facebook page, Vicki Viccora.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys, please be sure that you connect with her, start following her because she's been offering some tremendous, tremendous content that I know is going to add a ton of value to you, both personally as well as professionally. Okay, so be sure that you take advantage of that. So, as we wrap up here, many of you are aware of what I am launching tomorrow, which is the 7K day
Yes,
masterclass. Okay, and so if you have not registered for this free, did I say free? I said free,
that's
free
it.
masterclass on the 7K day. We're going to help you unlock your first $7,000 day through 5 mindset shifts that powerful women need to succeed online. There's a couple of men who have registered too. Hey, I'm not going to kick you out. Okay, you're more than welcome to join us, but I'm going to show you specifically how to turn your passion into a profitable part-time online business without a massive following. Y'all, I only have 1,000 followers on Instagram and maybe 3,200 on Facebook. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. And that's where I do pretty much all of my promotion. So without a massive following, don't have to be tech savvy and no burnout because we're not doing burnout in 2025. We're those days are over. The hustle and grind and we're not doing that in 2025. So you can get registered by going to apriljoyempowers.com/7K day. That does launch tomorrow. That's Wednesday, May 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern. I can promise you're gonna walk away and be like, I don't know why I haven't been doing this. I don't know why I haven't been doing this. And
And
even this the strategy that I'm gonna show people, if they only did it, and I'm gonna break it down for them. If they only did this 4 times a year, $7,000 times 4 times a year is an extra $28,000. I want you to just think, what could you do with an extra $28,000 in 2 years? Implementing this strategy only 4 times quarterly.
yep,
Quarterly. Just do what I show you quarterly and you can have an extra $30,000 to $60,000 over the next 12 to 24 months. That's a down payment on a new house. That takes you from renting to owning. That takes you from being able to, put your kids into private school. Gosh, that buys you a brand new car. That allows you to go from a bachelor's to a master's degree. So, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, y'all, and here's the funny thing I implemented that strategy in 2021. 2021. Before I knew how to build websites, marketing funnels, I didn't know none of that, right? But I
mhm,
implemented the strategy because I had something very specific that I wanted to get done. And it was going to take about 10 grand. And I
yep,
didn't have 10 grand sitting around to
yep,
invest in something, right? And I said, how can I take what I know and how can I create something of value? And I'm going to show everybody exactly how to do that.
yep. It
So,
sounds cool. I was
did you
after
have any
just
final
signing up
thoughts,
for.
Vicky?
Nope, I think that's great with else. And it goes like you said, stop thinking of the big picture
Mhm.
on it because all my coaching programs, like you said, is a 90 days. Because if you
Yep.
put here in 90 days, you've accomplished so much more because if you wait to the end of the year, we procrastinate. Same as
Oh,
you said,
yeah.
you use your tools that you're going to teach tomorrow. If you just use it in that time period and then
Yep.
repeat it again and
Yep.
rethink and make adjustments and tweaks that you may
Yep.
have to, you'll be
Yep.
surprised how much further you're going.
Oh my gosh. It's like I mean, you can create so much momentum over the course of a year just by planning the work, doing the work, review. Just plan it, do it, review it. Just do it
Yep.
4 times. 4 times. That's it,
Good.
right? So I'm really, really excited. Y'all, please be sure that you get connected to Vicki for all of the amazing tools and resources that she has. And this episode will be loaded onto YouTube here in the next few weeks. And so if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel at April Joy Empowers. That is actually how you can find me on all social media channels at April Joy Empowers. So with that, everybody, thank you so much, Vicki. Thank you so much for blessing our audience today with some
Yeah.
amazing, amazing tips and strategies. And we look forward to seeing everybody again next week on the Liberation Lounge, where we have real talk with real women.